language and teaching kids the different signs of what to look for and how to ask and how to broach an animal that they do want to pet. And so those are all different things that we offer as a service to the community.
You have a governing board?
So we do have a commission. They're appointed. And so we have 6 appointed positions currently, and that is, we have representatives from Thurston County, Olympia, Lacey, and Tumwater, and then we have a veterinarian that will always sit on our board, as well as a member from Thurston County Humane Society. That commission, I will just to touch on, they do make higher level policy. And do budgetary decisions, but they do not control like operational decisions. That solely lies with myself.
A lot of questions. Anybody else?
You need to put on your calendar August 4th. It'll be Tenino's first national night out. And we're going to have some vendors, so if you can put something out there, bring some pets that you think you can get adopted out. That would be nice as well.
Making a note so I don't forget.
I believe it's a Tuesday evening. Starts at about 6 to 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
We haven't decided yet. We'll get
Linda's house.
Yeah, right. You don't have to bring any pets, I have 3 dogs, it's okay.
I can set you up with one.
No.
Are you sure? I have pictures of my office
no.
foster.
The other
He's
day-
super cute.
no,
He's really
no,
old.
no. The other day,
He just
my
wants to see.
daughter comes in and she says, "Now, Mom, don't go out on the back porch because I gotta tell you something." And I said, "What?" "A cat." She went to get in her car to go and she heard a meow and a meow. And here comes this cat and it was just friendly and rubbing up against her, so she brought it inside the yard and put it on the back porch. So I took a picture of it, put it on Facebook, and the next morning the woman puts her cat's picture on, and it was from up here on Central.
Pretty far away.
Yeah, so Corey put the cat in her lap and took it up there, and the woman was all happy that she got it. And I said, it's a darn good thing that we found the owner of that cat, because I didn't want
Been
another
yours
animal.
forever. What other questions do you have for Ms. Hawk?
No?
9 months in, how's it going?
Excellent.
You love it?
I do. I'm finally not disoriented anymore driving around between clouds and trees.
Yeah.
Like,
It's a lot different landscape.
I lived in the desert, so it's literally like clear
It's all foggy,
skies. I can actually see landmarks, so I always know, like, if I don't know where I'm going, I'm like, oh, there's South Mountain, okay, I need to turn around. And here I'm just like,
though. Trees.
it needs to stop telling me to go east, because I don't know which way's east. They just need to tell me left or right.
Yeah.
No, but it's beautiful up here.
Is this your first time making it down this far south in the county, or?
I'm trying to think if I've
You won't be
been.
offended if you say yeah.
No, I was, our large scale intake was Centralia. So where are we on
It's
the,
gone further.
okay,
About 12 miles north
Yeah.
of Central.
alright. No, I still sometimes have to get my bearings and ask kind of in relation to some things, but this is my first time in Tenino.
Cool.
And I was excited for the opportunity to come down, cause it's been on our list of things to do.
Well, I want to let you know that we have 2 good Mexican restaurants in tonight.
Two.
Las Compadres is very good also.
So you can go to the other one after this.
Oh man.
Second dinner.
It's in an old historic building that when I was running around here as a kid, it was the Jiffy Lunch.
Their margaritas are bigger.
And their margarita is huge.
How many do you have before the meeting?
Half.
Half.
Had the other half.
Chief, do you have any more questions?
No,
Points?
no, I just, would ask council to just consider these services and, the fact that Tenino has not had a, robust animal services program, I think this would be a good start, whether it's à la carte or the full deal.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. John, did you have anything?
Good.
All right. Thank you for coming.
I do have one question.
I knew it.
You say you have a but this is a very esoteric question. You have a contract with JBLM.
Yes.
JBLM proper or the Rainier Training Area?
Proper.
So So you go on to Fort Lewis, which is actually in Pierce County.
Because part of it also resides in Thurston County.
That's what I'm saying, the Rainier training area is all in Thurston County.
Yeah, but we encompass all of it, because they're responsible for handling their own.
Sure.
And so we have entered into negotiations with them. They were having a hard time because it's a base getting on and off, and that was one of, like I said, on our end, part of the tedious relationship that we had with them is it's hard to provide services when you can't get on base. But all of those issues have been resolved, yeah.
Very good. Thank you.
Alright, I'm turning it off for real now.
John wants to know if you'll collect pocket gophers.
No, just shoot.
Thank you.
Relocate them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that brings us to item number
Really far,
2,
right.
City Hall HVAC system. Mr. Millard, go ahead.
So this is a continuation of the City Hall renovation. Recall last time we talked about this, we discovered that the HVAC system is basically sound, but we wanted to put some motorized dampers in. Well, come to find out, the engineer got curious and he contacted the contractor that actually put the system in, and when the contractor came out, he realized that there were no dampers installed at all. And the contract did in fact call for non-motorized dampers. So the contractor said, you know, I have to make this right, I gotta put them in. The non-motorized dampers will work, but the current code now requires motorized dampers. We'll do this for the difference in cost between the non-motorized and the motorized units. And in addition to being the current code, they're also much more efficient, so it would help us take more advantage of the energy efficiency savings in this type of system anyway. And Mr. Watterson asked me to relay to you, because he was not here tonight, that he does support a yay vote on that issue.
Yay. That was too easy.
Okay, any questions regarding the HVAC system? Okay, number 3, this is regarding the vacant, so we've been down a staff member in City Hall. And Miss Court Clerk, Miss Ronna Barnes, has stepped up significantly with some of the responsibilities of the vacant position. So with that said, Clerk Treasurer Millard has a request or a suggestion or something that you wanted to broach with you all.
Well, what we wanted to do, it's kind of hard to, what's an emergency? Well, nobody's life, limb, or eyesight was at stake, but with respect to the volume of work that we had to get done here in the last 45 days, and the fact that there are, really 2 full-time hands to do it, it was an emergency. We wouldn't have gotten the payrolls processed, we wouldn't have met some reporting requirements. Our customers wouldn't have had their utility bills serviced, and without saying a word, Ms. Barnes, really stepped up and took charge of that process. In the past, the council has authorized them an additional amount of pay when this was long-term. This won't be long-term, but she has put in a lot of hours. She and I talked about it. We haven't been incurring overtime, but the volume of work that she does during the day has increased, 2 to 3 times what she had been used to. So I thought it would be appropriate to compensate her for that.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so, but exactly how to do that, we're still trying to figure out, because you can't.
Because the attorney stepped in and said, we can't pay it retroactively, so
We
we
can't
gotta
give
figure
a
out a way
reward,
to
we
do
can't
it.
give a bonus, so, we are looking in, because, she is doing 2 jobs. So we wanna figure out if there is a way, and this is just as an information kind of thing, because we're not asking for any action, but we
Can't.
are figuring out how to, within the law, make sure that we can compensate her for the additional work that she has done. And if
The work that
everybody's
she
comfortable.
normally does not do.
Yeah, the additional
Recognize
duties she
her
has
for the
taken
extra
on
effort.
in
I
the,
think the wording helps.
yeah,
Work
I'm
that
sure.
she does not normally do.
it is not, yeah. things outside of her job description that she's taken on in the time being. And that said, we have hired an additional person. They will be starting, what, the 18th? The 18th, the new hire will be starting. And, you know, that won't immediately relieve the congestion, but it's gonna, you know, yeah, initially it'll probably make it more difficult because there's gonna be some training that goes on, but I think, and John thinks in short order, they're gonna get themselves in a real good position. We got 10 minutes. Do you want to talk about the joint animal services stuff? Do you have anything else to say since now we got the room to ourselves?
No, I just would really like, I think we need it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, in my time here, to have 3 dog bites, I mean, that's pretty amazing. Actual punctures
Yeah.
where people have had to be seen.
And that's just the big stuff.
Yeah.
There's a whole host of other animal issues
There's the other
that
stuff.
we deal with, and we probably don't deal with them the best way possible.
Now, the last time we picked up a dog that we couldn't find an owner for, I kept it at the station in our fenced area until we found the owner.
Yeah.
And that wasn't until the next day, so a bunch of us got together, went and bought dog food, and, you know, made sure it had dog food and water, and had a place, you know, to get out of the cold. So we're just not equipped.
Yeah. I would like to see us have some proper temporary shelter type thing.
It would,
You know,
it
like
wouldn't
what-
take much.
What we've had is not adequate.
No.
Like, just put some fencing in and a roof and, you know,
I would
kind of
I would even volunteer the police department to have a place where we could hold animals.
Yeah.
You know, which we've got the room there. I've got an area on the side there where they could run around.
They could build a kennel there.
They
Yeah,
could
this
build a
isn't
kennel.
this isn't
Yeah.
a situation where we're gonna shop around. It's we work with these guys or we continue to do it haphazardly.
That's right. And like she just said, you know, if we get a dog out here that's been the victim of cruelty, for example,
Mhm.
and we called them to help us out with it, she said if they have time, they might. But it'll be up to the individual officers on duty as to whether or not they wanna respond. If they say no.
Without the contract.
Without the contract.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we would have to figure it out.
Yeah, and in the past, like, nobody's really known, like, in the past, we've been very poorly educated on this. And so when something would happen, you know, whoever the officer they would call these guys and ask for help. And there would be a lot of frustration because it would be like, hey, we don't have an agreement.
That's right,
We can't do it, you know, we'd have to work that out ahead of time.
that's right. Yep,
You know, the à la carte option looks interesting, you know, I think that's, if we do nothing else, we have to do that. But then like she was saying, that opens us up to greater costs, because if you choose that à la carte option, there's all these additional costs that can come into it, but if you choose the full service, it's almost like you pay that one time, you pay that fee, and no matter, we have to look at the contract.
well,
But my
and-
understanding is you pay that fee, then no matter what, everything's taken care of.
And there's an after hours law enforcement only telephone number that is answered right away by whoever their on-call person is. So if we run into something after hours, early hours in the morning, we have a domestic violence, we're gonna arrest both parties, we're gonna take them to jail, but there's a dog. Now what do we do with the dog? Okay, that's just one scenario that comes to mind right away.
Mhm.
We'd call animal services, come get the dog, hold the dog till both parties get out of jail or whatever, and then, you know, everybody's happy. But, right now, if we had to do that, I'd leave the dog there, and that's not a good thing. I mean, you guys know me, I love dogs. I love
We
animals.
wouldn't leave the animal there.
Yeah, I mean, it would be.
And
it would-
but putting them
I-
at the police
I would
station is
walk,
not a good
yeah,
option.
I'd walk,
They bring it to your house.
I'd walk into my house with another dog and my wife will kill me.
And your Great Dane would eat it.
Yeah, so the deal is we gotta do something.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where we're at with this, and I think it would go a long way with our citizens for them to know that, we put something on our website. Hey, if you have a problem, you really can't call animal services and they'll respond. They'll come out.
Well, it's a responsible thing to do, I think, as a city.
Do what? Sign a contract that the problem we're trying to solve is how to respond to a call here in town. They just got done telling us it could be up to 72 hours.
No,
3
Depending on
days.
what
No, no.
you have.
And what she said is they will prioritize
Right.
the call, just like we
They
do
have
with the
4 officers to cover the whole
Yeah,
county.
just like we do with our officers. If a call comes in and it's a barking dog, we don't go out in the middle of the night. We've got a day and a half. We'll go and make contact. If there's an imminent threat, then it's to the top of the priority list, and we're gonna take care of it. That's the message that I got.
Tell me too.
Well, and also too, because we haven't had this in place, I think the citizens of Tenino have all come together and created their own, because personal experience, my dog was famous twice. He was all over Tenino Talk. Whose dog is this? Running around,
Yeah.
da 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 da. Twice our dog got out.
Well, maybe that
Two
scenario is why.
cents.
Maybe that says the a la carte option is the better option for us, because a lot of things we do take care of on our own.
Right.
And so it would, it would not rise to the level of $13,000 a year.
When your neighbor who knows you, I mean, everyone pretty much
Yeah, and you
knows.
see it on Facebook all the time.
Yeah.
So just to throw it out there, I'm wondering if council would consider kind of a, let's see how it goes, kind of a temporary thing with the a la carte, like 3 months, and then I come back to you in 90 days and I say, okay, here's what's happened, and give you an idea of what kind of animal calls for service and issues we've had in a 90-day period.
I think where you were driving is where we ought to put the emphasis, which is if you want to be responsible for South County, a satellite office is the right answer, and then 13,000 a year with somebody reasonably close with ties to the community becomes more palatable.
Well, yeah, I mean, yes, if we were to do a full service contract, I would love to see, that would be the conversation to have with them is, okay, if we're gonna do a full service, we want you to also recognize that, you could be a hub down here, you could get a contract with Bucota, Rainier.
Just like,
We can put in a temporary, holding pen and.
just
yeah,
like I do with DOC,
Yes,
give them a spot here in our station. We've got room,
yeah.
and they can make our station a satellite office, no problem.
Or you say, we wanna offset half the cost of the
Mhm.
$13,000 to recognize that we're going to, something like that. Maybe, I don't know, maybe we start off with the a la carte thing, and we also include in our proposal back to them that they take a hard look at what they provide South County, and we could offer some type of partnership with them if they're,
I was just about to suggest that,
yeah.
because it's not just Tenino, they still have the rest of Rainier,
The rest of the county.
Rochester,
Rochester,
Grand
Maytown,
Mountain,
yeah.
between here and there, yada, yada, yada. We can go ahead and cut down the cost, offer them a place to hold the animals. They have a substation here.
Yeah.
It would be up
So-
to them to man that substation.
Mhm.
So Yelm had a contract with them.
What happened there?
Well, Yelm decided it was in their best interest to go ahead and have a code enforcement / dog catcher, if you will, position. And so they got an FTE.
That's probably a hard position to staff.
Yeah,
Those are two
They-
completely different worlds, and to
They-
find
they-
one person.
They really are.
Yeah,
And they have a facility now, I've not seen it, I've just heard about it, where they can house the dogs. So Yelm, after all this time,
okay.
came up with their own.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the February 11th Tenino City Council meeting. Let the record show that all members are present with the exception of Councilmember Watterson. Would you please stand for the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Full approval of the agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. That brings us to approval of the minutes for January 28th.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, so, Dave Watterson did inform you that he was gonna be absent and everything?
Yeah.
Okay. So that brings us to the consent calendar, which covers payroll EFTs in the amount of $23,127.93. Claims checks number 28877 through 28913 in the amount of $59,720.92, for a grand total of $82,848.85, along with liquor license for Los Compadres Mexican Restaurant and excusal of Councilmember Watterson.
Move approval.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to accept the consent calendar as presented. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. We have no executive session, nor do we have presentations. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to provide public comment? Moving on, no public hearing, no proclamations, no old business, new business. The city has an opportunity to upgrade the HVAC system at City Hall for the difference in cost between motorized and non-motorized backdraft louvers for the approximate cost of $2,400 to $2,700. The administration is asking that you move to approve the installation of motorized backdraft louvers not to exceed $3,000.
So moved.
It has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Might wanna just for the record, let
Sure.
everybody know that that it's now a requirement to have the louvered,
Motorized.
Motorized louvers.
the motorized louvers put in, instead of just the regular ones.
Yeah, I think you just let them know. Well done. All right, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. That brings us to reports. Tenino Chamber of Commerce. This is gonna be the quickest meeting ever.
Pretty much. It was just a normal meeting. Everybody got to say hello. There wasn't really a whole lot that went on, at least that I can remember. You weren't there, because you have to work.
Yeah,
I don't want
board
anybody,
meetings.
yeah, I didn't want anybody to think you was skipping out or
No,
anything.
I'm at the board
Playing
meetings,
hooky.
believe me.
So it was just basically a normal, Chamber of Commerce meeting. Dan, what did you see in it?
No, I wrote it up. I write things up and then I forget all about them.
The one I missed is the
Well
early
played.
morning one, on the first Friday. I
Yeah.
really missed that one.
Yeah,
That's,
they didn't talk about the first Friday
yeah,
meeting coming up.
Yeah.
he's gotten some really good presenters
Good.
for it.
George is doing a wonderful job.
Yes, he is.
Thurston EDC, no report. VCB, no report. South Thurston Fire and EMS.
Oh, no report, have meeting
That's you now.
Thursday.
Okay. TRL. They provided a report. Is it in here?
It is.
Way down at the bottom. When are they coming in to introduce
They were supposed to be here tonight.
us tonight?
They said they were gonna do.
So they have hired a new manager.
Do you know who it is?
She was a Chehalis librarian.
I think it's in the.
Linda McKinney,
There you go.
library manager in Tenino. She comes to this position with 14 years of experience as the head of youth services in the Centralia Library, in addition to holding other librarian and reference positions within Timberland. She is thrilled to be joining the Tenino team, and I think you'll find that she is an absolute joy to work with. I've CC'd Linda in this email so that you may have her contact info, so that's in your packet. They planned on attending the February 25th, on Tuesday, February 25th. You're welcome to drop by and say hello anytime. In the meantime, if there's any pressing building need, Linda will email this group.
I guess the follow-up is to keep the rest of the council apprised is we did make contact with the executive director again. We proposed an updated version of our maintenance agreement with them. We have not heard back them on our proposal.
I was gonna ask.
Tenino Depot Museum.
Again, we're closed to what, April, something like that. In the meantime, I've reached out to the Nisqually tribe to try to get a visiting display down here. And the reason I've been trying to do that is because when you look at the Tenino history, as we all know here, the tribes were a major part of it. So I thought it would be good, a few years ago, because we've been working on it for a while now, the board all thought it was a good idea. Waiting for them to, I've been talking to them and waiting to hear back from them. They're busy, you know how that stuff goes. Also, I've been working with Washington Arts Commission, again, to have a rotating art exhibit down there, which hopefully would give more people reason to come down here, especially during the off season. I have an email, I gotta talk to the president of the museum to see which way that they're still willing to go with that. Some of the things that they wanted to make sure that it's a secure location, and it is, that we have insurance, and I'm not sure what their insurance requirements are. So as that moves along, and both of those move along, I'll bring back further reports on it.
Makes me curious what our insurance coverage of the museum contents looks like.
I was just thinking that same.
Were ya?
Yeah.
I mean, because we have stuff in there that is priceless. I would say, I'm sure everything has a price, but, I mean, there are things in there that, I mean, are real museum things that don't exist anywhere else in the
They're
world.
irreplaceable.
Yeah.
You know, like the dictaphones that we have.
Yeah, yeah. Things that are not just interesting to Tenino, they're interesting to the world. Thank you. Arts Commission.
And
Wrapped
send
up
a
in the
letter.
creative district.
Okay. Figure. Facade improvement grant review. Okay.
Just,
I have 2 checks to get out,
yeah,
just gotta get them.
Okay. Chief of Police. You have the floor, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council, Robert Swain, your Chief of Police. Just a couple of things. The wrap-up for the flood emergency management situation, that has been completed, and now they're doing all of the post stuff to try to determine how much damage there is and how it's going to get paid for. One thing I found interesting with this entire incident is that FEMA wasn't there. And I was talking to some of the emergency management people about that, and apparently there was a request that was made and there wasn't a response. So,
Nobody answered the phone.
so they're going
There's
to,
nobody working there anymore.
yeah, they're gonna try to figure that piece out, because FEMA's got money, and so you know, it needs to be done. And I'm sure all of you just heard that they found the big warehouses over in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
They've got all the water and supplies and everything. And it stayed where they delivered it, and the emergency manager over there, of course, has been let go, and
of course.
there's a new
And the
person in
mayor was
place.
all up in arms, and the
Yeah,
governor was all up in
yeah,
arms about
yeah,
it.
yeah, the mayor said we over in the mainland did it on purpose, but, anyway, the other thing is that
They
we
were
are
holding all
working
the
on
supplies until, never mind.
is, it's time to start planning for Oregon Trail Days again, so we'll be, starting those meetings in March.
First meeting's March 2nd.
Yes,
Okay.
and so we'll be, working very closely with our partners there to make sure we have a good event. The rumor's still out there, just so you know, Mr. Mayor, that Adam's not coming back. I heard it again the other day, so,
It's
Just-
not a rumor.
just so you know.
He quit his label and his band.
okay,
So
All right.
that is,
so
yeah,
he's,
he wants to get married and have kids, and so all he is a songwriter now.
oh, okay,
So,
And doing quite well at that, I understand.
yeah,
yeah, I'm sure he is.
but I'm working and talking with the chamber about, if Oregon Trail Days wants to continue having a music festival. There's an event planner that we have had referred to us that we're talking to that will probably come and give a presentation at one of the first planning meetings for Oregon Trail Days.
Okay, great.
So there's a small group of us talking about that.
I met with some of the TCOM leadership, and again, I get told the same thing as I was told before. You gotta take it to the administrative board, and I know that John's working on that. And it'll be interesting to see how we come out on that. And hopefully we'll get a spot on the board there. We sure need it. Other than that, Officer Garcia has finished her field training. She's out there on her own and having fun. People are starting to really get to know her around the city, and she's doing well.
Who was it that responded to Joyce? Was it yesterday morning, or? Joyce opened the store, and she's
She set
turning
the
the
alarm
lights, no, she's turning the lights on and everything, and she hears garden door, meaning somebody is
Oh.
either going out the door or coming in. So she goes out there and she hears this guy that's got these layered clothes on, he's freezing, he jumped the fence in the back and
He was
slept
sleeping
in
back
the
there?
garden evidently. And normally she'd go and unlock the door, open it up, and then look around to make sure everything was okay. She said, I didn't do it then. I just opened it up and it's been cold, so she closed it. She unlocked it, but she closed the door. I said, well, that was a little unnerving, wasn't it? Or was it Bishop? She said she thought it was Bishop.
Yeah, so that's gonna be Thurston County.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. Anyway, she felt bad for the guy. He said, well, I need a ride to Olympia to go to court, and I have to be there at 9 o'clock. And she says, well, you're a little late, it's 20 minutes after 10. But she said, I'll call somebody. So she called, and they came. And but by the time the guy came back in to ask, the sheriff deputy came back in to ask her something, and when he went back out there, the person was gone. So I don't know, was that Stevie or whatever his name is, or?
Yeah, it very well could have been. Yesterday, it's the first time since I've been here, where I asked Public Works to help us out with what I would call just a homeless site, actually in our park. It's the one that you
That I called you
talked to me
about.
And the guy just left a tent, left all of his garbage, left everything, and so we scooped it up and away it went. But it's just a matter of time. I mean,
It was
we-
probably
we've got-
that guy, you took his tent away, so he slept in the,
Yeah, so
in
you
the
wanted to
garden
sleep
area
there.
behind the shop.
We had another homeless call at the Assembly of God church. A guy that was staying underneath their awning. So it's not we're not, by any means challenged yet, but we're running into a little bit of it. So questions for me? Okay.
Well, I mean, there have been times when there's been 6, 7 tents in the park, you know, so it's been one of those issues that you just have to keep aware of and keep having conversations with
don't wanna offer
the
them services,
individuals,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
so,
yeah, because word travels fast
yeah.
in that
Oh, tonight.
particular
Yeah.
arena, so.
Any other questions for the police chief?
Hey, thanks again for meeting with us last week, Chief. Me and my neighbors
Yeah.
had some issues on Houston Street,
No,
so that was
no problem.
appreciative.
Yeah, I'm glad that we got to meet and talk about some strategies. You saw me over there today.
Yeah.
We've been trying to do that every day, if not every other day, to just sit out in front of the house, and I keep waiting for one of them to come up and go, why are you sitting in front of my house? And
It's a good place.
we can have that conversation.
All right, thank you,
All
sir. From the Public Works Department, you have a report from the wastewater services folks. Met out there with Public Works today, not out at the treatment plant. I met at Public Works shop. There seems to be some kind of issues brewing with our treatment plant contractor. So you know, and I'm sure you guys have experienced a little bit of it when we want, you know, we have them on the schedule to come down and give a presentation, and we hear from them, they don't show up. It kind of feels like they have become aloof and less responsive and paying less attention to our operations down here. And so, you know, we've had some good operators. So, you know, we have a contract with them, and then they hire and employ a wastewater treatment plant operator 3. And then that person is housed around here, and they work, how many hours a week? 20, 30 hours a week down here. And they are the ones that operate our plant with our assistance, and we do that under their license, which, you know, the place in LaConner holds. Some of the plant operators have been great. There was a gentleman named McLeod that was out there he was great. He was working every day. He'd go down there, and I'd stop by there, and he'd be out down in the pre-air basins with a pressure washer, cleaning the filters, stuff just dripping all over. I mean, yeah, this guy, nothing bothered him. He was a soldier. Yeah, he'd look up and you see something drip down in his eye, and he's like, "I'm good." You know, he was solid. There are guys since then that are not quite as motivated, and it seems like the ones out there, it works if they're self-motivated. If they're not, there's not a lot of influence from above. They're just kind of stationed out here, and so we're learning that there's not a lot of direction. And so if you got an unmotivated person out there, things don't get done. When McLeod was out there, the maintenance happened, and when the maintenance happens, the facility functions properly. They've got alarms, and they've got things within certain parameters, the right PSI here, the right, the head is doing things over here, and this system is symbiotic, and the bacteria is happy. If those things aren't happening, if you're not getting into the pre-air basin and cleaning off the filters, the right amount of oxygen's not getting into the bacteria is not eating through the waste and eliminating nitrates and things like that, and so then the things that come out aren't proper. And so the folks at Public Works are kind of butting heads with our service provider, saying, "Hey, these things aren't getting done." And then, "Well, we'll get to them in the summer." "Well, we need it done now." So there is some stuff bubbling up. I'm not sure exactly, what we're gonna do. My response back to Public Works is, I need you to document all these things and all these conversations, and we need to then take it to our service contractor, because we can't just have this conversation around the kitchen table and expect something to get done about it. We can't just have complain about it. We've got to have some forward progression. And so that's kind of where that's at. But it's getting to the point where and it's hard, because what is the truth? And there's different styles that these people operate these things. And well, I'm the treatment plant operator. At this level, I know what's best, and so we're trying to figure it out. Be aware. City planner, building official, he has no report. City attorney, no report. City clerk, treasurer.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You can see we're executing the budget. It's actually looking pretty good. I was a little nervous where we were winding up last year, but it actually came out all right. Our creative district, there's a paper in front of you there. The State Arts Commission managed to find a state senator who was willing to champion a direct legislative grant, and the grant will go to the State Arts Commission, and then the State Arts Commission will parcel money for projects out to the 8 cities in this state that either have or are very close to having a certified creative district. So this was a pretty last minute thing. We rushed to get a project together along with 7 other cities, and the Arts Commission has written it up, and it is now in the hands of that state senator. We'll see what happens. Our project is going to be, a place-making kind of gazebo structure for,
Pergola.
pergola, that's gonna be located next to the farmer's market there in our newly acquired parking lot.
Off the back of the
Library.
actually.
That's just, what we put forth, and we'll have to see where it happens. But that's part and parcel of the work that Mr. George Sharp has been doing with our creative district. Of course, if that money flows to us, the creative district will be the recipient of it. Some of it will go to the construction of the project we just described, and some of it will go to funding a piece of Mr. Sharp's work. What we've asked him to do with it is to create our economic development portion of our comprehensive plan, because right now our comp plan doesn't have an economic development chapter. So that's near to long-term kind of stuff there. The quarry pool renovation is coming along. The engineer had core samples done and analyzed. Our concrete is not reinforced and it is not anchored to the bedrock out there. So he has to come up with an engineering solution to address that before we gunite over the concrete.
To just have it crackle.
Yeah.
Yeah, because gunite will not stand up to the kind of movement that concrete is taking right now. The concrete's not taking it well, but it's taking it better than gunite would. The CDBG grant for the quarry house renovation, the contract for that, the county's still working on it. We've been in contact with them. They're actively doing it. It's kind of like our quarry pool renovation thing. It's in our park. It's a structure renovation. There are administrative requirements that have to be tended to, like contacting the local Indian tribes to make sure that they're not that they're okay with us doing what we're doing.
Kind of like what I had to do.
Exactly like what you had to do. But that's okay, we're moving ahead. The architect has come out, and they've got the same types of drawings that they did here at City Hall. We had a conference and went over those drawings and tried to kind of prioritize the work we wanted to do there. What we discovered is, if you walk in the quarry house, you'll notice some cracks in the ceiling, and you'll notice some sagging in the floor. And that's because the posts that are bearing the weight for those are no longer in contact with the footings underneath the building. So the engineer's got to come up with a solution to more or less shim those posts and take the weight off of the joist and beam and put it back on the post where it belongs. So in order to do that, we're going to have to relook at the individual things inside that we wanted to do. Fixing the structure is the priority. Upgrading the kitchen to near commercial grade or at commercial grade, depending on what that's going to cost. And then opening up the windows in there, doing some ADA compliance work, and for sure doing something about that noisy heater in there. And we think that'll probably take care of the money we had to do
You're
that.
gonna backfill the steps that are broken?
Yes, that was.
We looked at that, that's part of it. The structure of the quarry house is what we're really focused on. The renovation for City Hall, the architectural drawings, I think I already briefed you this, we're happy with those. We still do not have a contract with Commerce. I inquired about that today, I don't have an answer back. We did get our first reimbursement for the ag park work. We're fixing to submit for the other ones. The engineer told me today that he has completed his engineering diagrams. Those have been submitted to the State Department of Health. Assuming State Department of Health approval, once those diagrams come back to him, he's ready to go to bid. And he sees the next 30 to 60 days is the bidding process, getting it out on the street, collecting the bids, determining who's the winner. And he sees construction starting toward the end of March.
For City Hall.
No, for the Ag Park sewer water extension.
Okay.
City Hall's, we're kind of in limbo until Commerce executes a contract with us. We can't even get the reimbursement on the architectural stuff that we've had done. So actual construction on that's gonna be pushed off until the engineer feels confident he's gonna get paid for that work. He'll get it. We just gotta work with Commerce to get the contract. As mentioned previously, our new utility clerk, many of you know her, Miss Jan Sharber, formerly of Raceford Rowan, was selected. There were 3 applicants, Miss Sharber and another lady who works for not the city of Centralia, but for a contractor that works for the city of Centralia. Were literally neck and neck. And the reason we selected Miss Sharber is Miss Sharber has the higher level managerial experience that we need downstairs. Our strategic visiting workshop, we've gotten the documentation with Mr. Ma in place. He's considering what that workshop's gonna look like. He has yet to sit down with the mayor and I and figure that out, but we can tell you that we're gonna ask you guys to look farther into the future. You know, the last 2 workshops, you guys kinda got us set for the 10 to 15 year mark. Now we wanna look 20 and maybe 25 years out.
TPB calls me George Jetson, how much further you want me to go?
Our strategy has been to identify those things in our comp plan that we need to get done, and we've been very, very successful getting the money when we do that. So as we work off these projects in the comp plan, we gotta put other projects back in, or we'll founder in trying to get the money.
I was kidding.
There's a method to our madness. And that's it. Any of your
Our
questions?
method. Anything else? Okay, that brings us to my report, I believe. So, yeah. We got a volunteer that has started the renovations on the caboose. So if you go over to the caboose, you'll see that there's been some wood paneling that's been removed. It's basically demo at this point, pulling off all the rotten stuff, getting measurements for replacement of things, and then kind of salvaging what can be salvaged, a lot of the metal. This guy knows way more about trains than I could ever imagine, but well, he has kids here, he has grandkids in the school system. His name's Don Bowman. He was a lieutenant at Lacey Fire that Dave and I worked with, and he's retired now, so this is what he lives for. And he's a very meticulous craftsman. Yeah, and he's explaining that we basically kind of lucked out with the caboose that we got, because a lot of them were built with wood subframes, and ours is built, one of the first ones built with like a metal subframe and metal framing all over it. So there's the bones are really good, and then there's a lot of like hard to find pieces, you know, just like rebuilding a car, you know, and you've got this insignia that is intact, but you know there's rotten body parts. Those things are expensive and they're hard to find. We're in good shape and we've got a lot of them, and he's excited to get going. We have ordered, I believe they have ordered, or they have, you know, I think they ordered it, a canopy, right?
The document is in your packet.
The canopy that's going over the top.
Yes, I read.
So there's a big metal cover that's gonna be built around the caboose. I think it cost about $3,000 to buy and have constructed. That'll keep it covered during the renovations, and then when it's done, we'll repurpose that and use it for storage for our equipment at Public Works. Yep. Oh, yeah, well, it's bigger. It's bigger than that. This is like the size of like some houses. It's big, but it would be great parking the backhoe in, parking big dogs, yeah, great names. Parking the dump truck under, things like that. But now, if you go down there, the new add-on to the shop, he'll be setting up in there with some of his table saws and things like that. Gets him out of the weather. He's really excited to get going on that.
How long is the renovation? Did he say?
No.
2 weeks.
Yeah. No, we'll see
Yeah,
how.
we'll give him a timeline.
Well, you know, it might be.
Get it done. This is all volunteer.
It might be that
No, that's cool
you'll
that
be able to do
volunteer
a
can do
little
it.
something before Oregon Trail Days, you know.
Yeah,
just-
he's also, his
so-
daughter is helping him,
show it.
she's created a separate GoFundMe page.
Oh, cool.
Because his daughter,
Oh,
the one that has the kids here, she's starting a GoFundMe page to help get, in case there's additional costs, buying lumber, buying things like that. He's also said that he's gonna go out and look for donations, and this guy's committed to
is
this.
that going around Facebook? Because I haven't.
Just started.
Oh, okay. I was
Yep,
gonna say, I haven't
yep.
seen it.
So that's exciting. Everybody's probably aware of the HGTV thing that we pulled together real quickly. So the show Hometown Makeover, I think was called. It was Aaron and Ben Napier had a show where, like, in their hometown they would renovate houses, and they're taking it nationwide now. And it's called Hometown Takeover, where they would come and do an entire town, city, and requirements. You had to be under 40,000 people. You had to have historic downtown. You had to have a main street. You had to have unique buildings. We got all those things in boatloads. So we have submitted, working with the Chamber of Commerce, the VCB, the Economic Development Commission, and other volunteers. Rachel helped, Linda helped. I think John, were you at one of the meetings?
First one.
Yep. So a lot of people have come together to put the concept together, and we built a video. The video was funded. The Heddens donated money. Joyce from the Ironworks donated money. Cheryl
VCB.
Pierce donated money, and the VCB pitched in money to fund a video to be created. The video, when I looked, it had already been viewed by something like 10,000
Yeah.
people already in
It was
24
also
hours.
shown at the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, so it's a lot of people are watching it. It's getting some traction.
May I continue?
Yeah.
Add on? It had to be a short video, and there's a lot of clippings that were on the floor. They're going to be able to use all that extra stuff to put together other promos for
Hopefully.
the city.
I know that's what George wants, but the people that also made the video charge money for those things.
Yeah.
So it was mentioned. That,
That's the idea so
yeah,
far.
it's their property, so I have to be careful about how much free stuff I ask for, and I'm sure I could at some point twist their arm to get a little more. But they've done a great job, and the video is getting a lot of traction. So we'll see where that goes. The TransAlta, everybody remembers TransAlta got a bunch of money from the state legislature like 15 years ago, or they put a pot of money together like 15 years ago, of millions of dollars that had to be used for economic development purposes in South Thurston County, Lewis County, and we've been fighting for some of those funds for the ag park for like 3 years now. When we did the pitch 3 years ago, they said go out and get more money and come back. We've come back, we've given another proposal, we've flushed this thing out. We've now got a couple $1 million invested in it already, and we're asking them for money for like $1.1 million to pay for the pad that will go underneath the building. And now instead of us asking for basically we were asking for like 100% of it before, it's only 30% of it. So we've done what they asked. So Thursday they're meeting. We're not exactly sure if they're going to meet to decide or if they're going to meet to discuss. So we'll see. Aslan and I are trying to do some kind of covert lobbying efforts and pressure on that board. We're going to be doing a radio show on Thursday morning that is broadcast in Lewis County, hoping that they'll be listening in before their meeting, and see how it goes.
What station?
KTLA.
Is that what it is? Yeah. The listen up, or listen, this is talk here, or whatever Peter does. So we'll be going on there with him on Thursday morning. Anything else?
Your report.
That is it. What else do we got on our agenda? We have boards,
School board.
school board. That is you, Miss Rachel.
School board's pretty quiet again. He did mention, to remind everybody that March 7th is the PTA auction, and it's gonna be at 6 o'clock over here at the vault. That's gonna be divided up between all the schools, and it really benefits every one of them. So
What time is the firefighter's scrap heap?
5 o'clock,
We're from 3 to 7.
yeah. I
Levy
know.
election's tonight, isn't it?
Huh?
Levy election's today, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep, I hope everybody voted.
Yeah.
A long time ago.
We will have the voting results on the Tenino Independent Facebook page.
You guys have a Facebook page now?
We do have, well, we've had it for like years, cause I filed for it to keep anybody else from using
Ah.
it.
You just didn't launch
We
it.
are, making it active.
Good for you.
And since we have to have our paper to the printer by 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we might as well use it to, provide, election coverage.
Yeah.
So I will be getting the first voting results and putting them on our Facebook page.
Cool.
Nice.
Good for you.
Yeah, next meeting.
Because we don't have a website, that's the closest thing we have.
Yeah, yeah. Cheap option.
I do have to say though, my kids used to come home all the time, and the teen scene that I'm in, I would hear all these things that's going on in middle school and high school and just drama stuff, And since the Tenino Police Department has been active in our schools and just been there, I haven't heard anything. Like, it's slowed down a lot. Like the fighting has slowed down a lot.
Sure.
Everything else that was going
Sure,
on.
sure.
Yeah, I'm really, really impressed.
Does the school recognize that, or is that just like anecdotal at home stuff?
I think so. I think it was kind of a, at first it wasn't a need in their eyes, but then now they see the need and they're recognizing the fact that there is a change.
Good.
You're talking about, Chief was called every week. There was 1 week where he was called, in 2 weeks he was called 10 times in those 2 weeks. And so it's just really mellowed out a lot.
That's good.
Yeah, it makes me feel really good when my kids come home and they're like, oh yeah, it was a good day. No
Wow,
one bothered me.
that's nice.
Like, I'm kind of feeling empty now though, because there's nothing.
There's no drama in your life?
Yeah.
We're sending them to Rainier, where there's no cops.
What kid is that? Was her mom?
Yeah.
I know.
All right. That brings us to public comment period number 2. If there's anyone in the audience that would like to provide public comment, please come forward and do so at this time. You'll be given 3 minutes. State your name and address.
I'll just say one thing.
Perfect. We love it.
Okay. The seniors wanna know when they're gonna work on the Corey house, and they don't wanna know what date.
As soon as we know, we will let you know. We don't have dates yet, like he was saying, we're getting closer and closer as we meet with the architects and the engineers and figure out contracts, but yeah, we'll,
Yeah, they was asking me today, so I
Yep.
said, well, I'll just ask them.
yeah, there will be some temporary inconveniences for everybody, but the overall results are gonna be good.
Yeah, I just told them I was.
Unless the whole thing falls down as soon as we touch it. Oh.
This might fall down.
That could happen too.
You just keep in mind you're dealing with senior citizens.
I know. All right, thank you, Donna. Any announcements? Don't say no, John.
Fire department, March 7th is the tickets are $35 for the crowd feed. There was something else that I wanted to bring up, but I can't quite remember what it was, so it must not have been important enough.
Okay. Anybody else?
Tenino girls have a district playoff game Thursday night at Three Rivers Christian.
What about the wrestling team?
The wrestling
They have
team
quite
is
a few
sending 7
contenders.
to districts at Hoquiam Saturday,
Yes.
and with 4 alternates.
And what, 3 females, 3 girls?
And Trina's one of them.
Mm-hmm.
That is entirely possible. I
Yeah.
wasn't able to find the,
Pretty cool.
yeah. And the girls, go to a single tournament for all classifications for state.
All right, thank you. Meeting adjourned.
Ron, yeah.
I wanted to get out of the clock. John wouldn't stop talking.
Yeah, I agree with you, John.
Yeah, you were in a coma, I hardly heard a word out.
I know, it's true, actually.
He's tired, he only got an 8-minute nap.
That's it.
No, you said an 8-minute nap was good.
That was plenty, he said.
Yeah, right.
Sorry, I'm blocking your thing.
Excuse me.
Good night.
Of course not.
All right, good night, guys.
Good night, thanks.
Good night, Rachel.
Yeah.
Jason.
Yeah, well, they probably don't even know about him. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's bad. Like, so, you know, I read a bunch of emails today from our engineers and our, it's astounding, right? So,
Yeah.
a responsible fire department wants to know what's going on.
Yeah.
They want to be involved, and we're putting in that development out there, Miami Acres area, Hidden Meadows, and a responsible department would wanna know what kind of fire flow is going in, what kind of hydrants, how far apart they are, and our engineers, they wanna know, hey, how closely simple question, how closely do the fire hydrants need to be spaced?
Yep.
You need to tell, you know, and they wanna know how much, you know, supply hose an engine carries. Do they carry 500 feet? Do they carry 100 feet? What do they do?
Yeah.
They try to ask the fire department. They called. Dan Penrose called there, and their answer was, "We don't do that anymore," and that was it.
Yeah, that's, I asked.
We don't do that anymore. You don't care
I
how
asked
far
them
apart
about-
hydrants are spaced.
I asked them about, fire marshal and inspection.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have anybody qualified. Well, we're gonna get somebody qualified. Well, we never did fire inspection, we did safety checks. I said, I don't care what you call it.
Right.
When are you gonna start doing it?
Yeah. The only thing that matters to that place is giving Andy Shaffron a paycheck. Yes.
He's gonna get the paycheck, you know, and.
Nothing will get
These
done
guys-
until next election when we get you somebody else on there.
These guys.
guys dies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
these guys actually believe, except for John Vanderhook,
Yeah.
that they work for him.
Yeah.